Welcome back to Care. If you're just joining us, today we're discussing autism. Before we get back into the discussion, we're going to look at our sex ed capsule, and then we're going to talk about sex education and autism. So let's get our sex ed capsule.
Mommy, can you tell me more about how to keep my body safe?
Absolutely. What about I tell you about the alerts?
Yes, please.
Alright, so the first alert is called a C alert. If someone asks you to see your private part, or if they ask you for you to see their private part, or even if they ask you to just see pictures of private parts, that's called a C alert. If someone asks you to touch private parts, that's called a touch alert. And if someone asks to talk about private parts, that's called a talk alert. No one's allowed but your mom and your dad to see, touch, or talk about your private parts. And your mom and dad are only allowed to do it when they're washing you. Or maybe if you get hurt, if you fall and get injured, then they can examine it.
But sometimes Grandma bathes me.
Well, that's very true. So what we should do is create a list of caregivers, and those are the people that are allowed to bathe you, or if you're in their care and you fall and hurt yourself, then they're allowed to examine you. If we have to take you to the doctor, make sure your caregivers go inside with you so that they can help keep that body safe.
Okay, Mama.
Can I have a kiss?
Now, when we were developing this sex education capsule, it was a passion of mine that I thought child abuse and sexual awareness is just something that's not happening. You know, it's Child Abuse Awareness Month, and we've heard nothing about it because it's a conversation that so many of us are afraid to have. We feel that we're not, ready to have it, we're not equipped to have it. And sometimes we can do more damage if we're not having the conversation properly. And I know, when we were talking prior to going on air and we spoke about the sex education, that was like, oh my gosh, such an eye-opener for me that we with children who are non-autistic already have it so difficult. Imagine having, you have a 15-year-old daughter. I'm certain we're at that stage where we're in conversation. So tell us about sex education and autism now.
Well, in my case, it's even more scary because she is non-verbal, right? So a lot of things.
What does non-verbal mean?
Basically, she doesn't really communicate the way we do, all right? So you won't get, mommy, so and so happened today. You're not going to get that.
Can she understand you speaking to her normally, or do you have to break down as well?
You'll have to break it down, right? A lot of the concepts she doesn't understand, or she won't understand in the way you intend, right? So you have to be very careful in terms of the words that you use, because if you say, like for example, top, right? She may think of a toy spinning rather than on top of something. So you have to break things down. So you have to get to sex education in terms of that part of it, right? In terms of further understand the concept of good touch and bad touch, is a work in progress still, because she's still trying to figure out herself in terms of how she communicates with the world and how the world interact with her. Right? So there's still that going on. Right? So we have a long way to go still. For instance, a simple thing like that time of the month is always a mystery for her, right? Because she has a lot of issues like okay, this is happening, and you see a lot of concern every time she goes to the bathroom. There's concern in terms of, okay, where's this coming from, so she's starting to get accustomed to it, but she still have a ways to go with that as well.
In terms of that physical desire, normal human beings, you get to a certain age, you start to have physical desires. Is it that they have the physical desires?
Yes, they do. They do. But the sex education, because, as you rightly said, child sex abuse is so such a taboo issue. But it's in your face. It's there.
Rampant.
It's rampant.
It's 1 in 5, and then they tell you must multiply it because that's 1 in 5 reported.
So I actually started both my boys from early. Rowan, my older son, he wanted to go to the bathroom. I always remember wanted to go to the bathroom on his own. And that was, for me, very, very scary. I was one of those parents. I actually talked to another parent the other day, and she was telling me she was a crazy parent. She would march into that male bathroom, screaming her son's name when he didn't come out after a few minutes. I couldn't deal with that anymore. So I actually I came up with a little thing where I told them, how far down clothes should be if they go to the bathroom and things like that, what parts of the bathroom not to use, so the urinal and that kind of thing. But then I started taking them to the bathroom with me. And last year, one of the cleaners in a mall actually stopped me and told me that he doesn't belong here. And this is where the
Of course, he's older, so
physically he doesn't. It appears that nothing is wrong with him. But how do I? And a lot more parents are actually having this challenge. How do I say? Because there are male parents who also have similar issues with their daughters. How do I send my child to the bathroom and feel comfortable, feel safe? And it doesn't necessarily mean just autism, but you see where it's more difficult. Anyhow you take it, whether they're non-verbal or not, they still have issues communicating how they feel. They have issues communicating. Someone touched me. They even have issues communicating.
Non-autistic children have those issues. I can only imagine an autistic child.
So it is a huge issue to have to deal with. They also, because of this lack of social awareness, they also get very comfortable with strangers. And I remember my son sitting on someone's lap, a total stranger, and I did some reading. And there's this thing called concentric circles, where in the first circle it's mommy and daddy and your brother and sister or your siblings, and then outside, so you can say what you do in that circle. So you can, as you said, you can touch, you can talk about, you can see only within certain parameters, and you can kiss, you can hug. And then outside of that would be uncles, outside of that, and as the circle gets bigger, you see what can happen. So as we move to this circle, they're not allowed to touch, or in this circle they're not allowed to do this. And that's what that actually helped Rowan to understand, oh wait a minute, I don't know this person, I can't sit on his lap. I don't know this person, I can't just walk up to him and just throw my arm around and hug him. And it actually helped him be more socially aware.
What did you do to deal with the bathroom issue?
Well, I got really angry at first. I got really, really angry. But he also is at the stage where he doesn't want to use the female bathroom anymore. So I literally sat down and I drew. As Megan can tell you, kids on the autistic spectrum are so visual, and you can. So what we did, he's at the age where graphic novels are appealing to him, and so we sat down and we actually drew our own graphic novel about using the bathroom. And
it's called a social, published.
Yeah, it's called A Social Story, and we've been doing those since he was 2. But because of his age, graphic novels are very appealing, and I'm very much into art. So we sat down and we devised our own story, and it's worked wonders. It's even worked with his brother as well.
Are there books like that, Megan, out there that can help, that parents can purchase? I'm certainly not autistic, So how am I going to create this social story?
Great example, and it was definitely something I wanted to touch on. So social stories, as Deborah correctly said, kids with autism are very visual thinkers. And a social story is pretty much just a set of pictures. You can pair it with words. You don't necessarily have to have words. I mean, even if you think, and I like to use this example a lot, about if you're in a class setting and a teacher is talking and you zone out for 2 minutes, then you need to come back and you need to think of that auditory process and what are they saying. But if they stop and they put it on a blackboard, then you have that visual picture, which will further cement into your brain and sort of support what words are being said. So for somebody with poor receptive communication, not able to fully receive or comprehend at a processing level that typical persons would, then that visual pairing will be a big benefit to them. So even if you're not autistic, once you can do a stick figure and you can draw a box and you can do a stick figure and maybe a larger stick figure and you have, good touch, bad touch, use red for stop, green for go. Right now in terms of books, luckily, the entire world is becoming a bit more aware and a bit more sensitive for children who need visual support and need visual support in taboo topics or somewhat taboo topics like sex ed, development, puberty, that sort of thing. So locally, I can't recommend anybody locally who's done something. Maybe that's in the works. Maybe we could all collaborate. But you can definitely find interactive CDs online on social stories. There are programs that you can plug into the computer and you can type and the picture symbols will sort of be paired together. You can then sit with the child and you can say, this picture means this word. So when you see this, this is what it means. And you read it out and you do it as many times as necessary. And it's a great tool to use for any situation. We're going to the grocery today. We're not going to the grocery we usually go to. We're going to a different grocery. This is what it looks like. This is what we do. We get in the car. We put on our seatbelt. So it's a sort of step-by-step breakdown.
Okay, we're going to get ready to go to a break now. So I'm going to give Ron a chance to chime in on, what have you done specifically, with, you have two children.
Yes.
Yes?
In terms of the bathroom, I mean, when she was small, it was easier because most times I would probably take them out on Saturdays, that kind of thing, go in the mall and walk around. So it was easier when she was small to take her into the bathroom. But as she get older, it became a little more difficult. But luckily for me, she has an older sister, so now she normally goes with her sister.
Okay.
Right, so it makes life easy. But if her sister wasn't around, I'll have to go in and peep and see if the men's room is empty, and then sneak her in, right? Because most places do have family bathrooms, right? And the reality is, you have fathers that go out with daughters normally. So depending on the age, you as a father, you don't want to send your 6-year-old, all right, go in the bathroom and go. That's
Agreed. So family bathrooms can possibly be one solution
Yes.
that we should be thinking of.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to go on a break now. If you're just joining us, we're talking about autism. We're joined by Deborah, Ron, and Megan. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back.